What's up, future CPAs? Welcome back. So, you're wrestling with the law and contracts. And yeah, it can get a little chaotic. Well, think of this as your secret weapon. We've designed this guide specifically for long-term retention, making sure this stuff actually sticks in your brain, not just for your next quiz, but all the way to the LACPA. Ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. You sign a contract, you shake hands, everything feels great. But then you spot it, a tiny typo. And that one little mistake is about to cost you 4,000 pesos. So, is that it? Is the written paper the final unchangeable word? Or can you actually do something about it?
So let's make this super simple. Here's our case study for today. You and a friend agree to split a 10,000 peso prize, 50-50. Easy, right? 5 grand each. But the piece of paper you both signed, it says you get 1,000 and they get 9. Ouch. You know what you agreed on, but the black and white text tells a completely different story. So what now?
Don't worry, we've got a roadmap for this. First, we'll talk about what happens when the paper lies. Then, we'll introduce the legal tool to fix it called Reformation. We'll also cover the no-fix zone when you can't use it. After that, we'll switch gears to decoding vague contracts using interpretation. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a super-fast LACPA bullet review, packed with memory hacks you're gonna love.
Okay, so this is the heart of the problem, right? You had a genuine agreement, a real meeting of the minds, but the document that was supposed to record it just gets it wrong. It's a frustrating situation, but thankfully, the law isn't just going to leave you hanging. There's a tool for this.
And here it is, the hero of our story, Reformation. Now, listen closely. This is not about throwing out the contract. Not at all. It's about correcting it. Think of it like a legal control plus F for find and replace. You're just editing the document to make it say what you both actually meant in the first place. And here's the textbook definition, straight from the Civil Code. Reformation is a remedy to make a written document match the real intention of the parties. But, and this is a big but, it only works if the error was caused by one of 4 things: mistake, fraud, inequitable conduct, or an accident. You gotta remember those 4. Don't worry, we've got a hack for that coming up. So, how do you know if you can use Reformation? Well, it's a simple 3-point checklist, perfect for an exam question. Number 1, there was a meeting of the minds. You both genuinely agreed on 50-50. Number 2, you put it in writing. And number 3, that written document fails to show what you really agreed on. If you can check all 3 boxes, you're good to go.
But it's not always that easy. Reformation isn't a universal fix. There are some very specific situations where the law draws a line and says, sorry, you can't reform this. And you absolutely need to know these because, you guessed it, they are classic exam traps. And here they are, the big 3 no-goes from Article 1366. First, simple donations made while you're alive. The law just sees that as a gift, one-sided, so there's no mutual agreement to fix. Second, wills. They have their own super strict set of rules. And third, this one is so important, when the real underlying agreement is void anyway. You can't put a legal band-aid on an illegal or non-existent deal. This is where a lot of students get tripped up. They think, okay, if I can't fix it, can I just cancel it? And that question leads us to one of the most important distinctions you need to master for the LACPA, the difference between reformation and annulment. Let's break this down. It's so simple when you see it side by side. With Reformation, you're saying we had a real deal. The paper is just wrong. The goal is to save the agreement by fixing the document. But with annulment, you're saying something totally different. You're saying there was no real deal because my consent was flawed. The goal there is to kill the contract entirely. One fixes the paper, the other kills the deal. All right, let's shift gears. What if the contract doesn't have a typo? All the words are spelled right, but they're just vague. They can mean a couple of different things. This isn't a job for Reformation. This is where a different tool comes into play: interpretation. For example, let's say a contract for a group project says you get paid after project completion. Okay, what does that mean? Does it mean the second you submit the final file, or does it mean after your professor gives the final grade 2 weeks later? See, the words aren't wrong, they're just ambiguous. You need to decode the intent. So how do we solve this mystery? Well, the law gives us a golden rule in Article 1371. It says,
When the words are fuzzy, you look at the parties' actions, what they did at the time of the agreement and right after. Their behavior can reveal their true intention. If everyone started celebrating and asking for payment right after submitting the project, well, that act pretty clearly shows what they understood completion to mean. And here are a few more tools for your legal decoder ring. Rule number 1, if the words are crystal clear, you follow them, period. But if there's a fight between the literal words and the obvious intent, intent always wins. And I love this last one, it's about fairness. Any ambiguity in a contract will be interpreted against the person who caused it. So don't try to be clever and write confusing terms. Okay, everybody, deep breath. It's time to lock this knowledge in. This is your high-speed, no-fluff review. These are the memory hacks designed to stick in your head and save you precious time when you're staring down a question on the actual board exam. Let's go. First up, the big one we talked about, reformation versus annulment. Just burn this into your brain. Reform is when the paper is wrong. Annul is when the mind was wrong, meaning consent was messed up. Paper wrong versus mind wrong. Got it? Awesome. Next, the golden rule for decoding vague contracts. What is it? Actions are greater than words. When the text is confusing, what the people did tells you the real story. That's Article 1371 in 3 simple words. Actions over words. And finally, how do you remember those 4 grounds for reformation? Easy. Just remember MAFI. That stands for mistake, accident, fraud, and inequitable conduct. When a question asks if reformation is possible, just mentally run through MAFI. It's your instant checklist. And there you have it. You now have the tools to tell the difference between a document that's flat out wrong and one that's just a bit fuzzy. Always remember, the real contract is the meeting of the minds. The paper, that's just the proof. Keep that insight with you, keep hitting the books, and you are going to absolutely crush that exam. Good luck!